So welcome. In this episode, we're going to do a sit-down discussion with one of the greatest, in my opinion, watchmakers in the world, Vianney Halter. He's been very kind, and I asked him if we could visit his workshop, and we've done a tour, and he's explained a lot of great and things about watchmaking, horology, and his philosophy as well. And so Vianney Halter, thank you for joining me. Thank you for inviting me, to your laboratory. I mean, I was a kid in a candy shop. It's an amazing place. I think, I'd like to first start, if it's possible, a bit of your history, where you grew up. Were you born in Switzerland? Or?
No, I born in Paris.
Okay.
I was born in Paris, and I grew in this city or around, and at 14 I went to the watchmaking school in Paris until my 17, and I started to work. I start to work immediately in a shop for antique clocks, to repair antique clocks inside Paris, and I spent for this shop. I spent 1 year only on clocks, and I changed to another one in south of Paris, where it was possible to fix and to repair more watches, a wristwatch, or pocket watches, also pocket watch. During, I think, 2 years or a little bit more. And after that, I started my own workshop to repair and to restore clocks and watches. And it was in the 80s. And at the end of the 80s, life, I wanted to leave the too big and too strange, too crazy place, a big city, and I moved to Switzerland, in St. Croix, to work for a colleague called François, and he was started a new factory, and it was the case for me to take another way in the watchmaking world, to explore and to make some new piece and new things, not only on the antique. And it was the beginning of my experiences and vision on one other side of the watchmaking, to make new things for the other before. And in 96 I started to make my own, not own brand, but my watch, like all watchmaker dream once. It's to make his own watch, because you work for the other. Sometimes you never make really one complete watch with case, dials, movements. You work only on one part, but after years you took experiences on everything, and it's quite normal to want to have your own watch. but I made it, and in '98, by the impulse from Philippe Dufour, I went to the AHCI, the group of watchmaker, independent watchmaker.
Yeah.
I joined us at Basel, and years after years, what it was one experience to create something to sell my skill or to find customer, to produce some work like a supplier, a subcontractor. I got more and more orders for my own name, own product, and until now I'm still working for some other brands. Because I started some years ago, or a long time ago, to work for them, and it's not. I don't know why I change, or I will change that. But 70%, 80% of my work, it's for my own name, my own production.
Yeah. And so that first watch was the classic?
No, the first one was Antiqua, the perpetual calendar.
Okay. Yes.
It was my first, and because I wanted to make a piece where it was possible to show all of my skills. Complication for the mechanism, and also for the case, or for some step in this work, not only concentrated on the mechanism or on the complication, but cases, dials, ends. It's also one part of this work, and I like also to have the control for the whole piece.
Yeah.
And the Antiqua, it was also one dream. I'm very passionate by the antique production and antique things in the watchmaking world or history. And the marine chronometer take my attention very high. I was very, it was very pleasant to restore and to fix and to repair marine chronometers. And when it was possible to create my first watch, I got inspiration from Ferdinand Berthoud, a very known watchmaker to create marine chronometer, but marine chronometer is impossible to have at the wrist. It's a big thing, and I made the Antiqua like a translation or a traduction between this dream and my skill, and it was why the Antiqua got this aspect. Like the marine chronometer with different dials on the main support, to show different information but completely separated. Because if you put some ends together, you disturb the precision and the function, and at the end it was the way to have the best masterpiece. And it was the base of the design of the Antiqua to have this base of case with different dial at different place. It was not a marine chronometer, it was a perpetual calendar, because also it was interesting to create a perpetual complication with this disposition.
Yeah.
And it was one challenge in the so small case, so thin, to have the movement, the self-winding system, the complication for the perpetual calendar, and the position of the indication somewhere on the case.
Yeah. And it's a very unique looking watch compared to everything out there, I think. And it's got a lot of your watches have that porthole type display.
This is also one reference of what inspired me. I was fascinated by the economy and technical development in the 19th century. And at this time still was the base of the new human development on Earth. And the way was to create some structure in iron or in steel to fix with rivets.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of the new ship on the sea, only in steel with steam engine to propulse them, and with some porthole rivets and something like this. And I was in this world. I was fascinated by 2,000 miles under the sea with the Nautilus, and typically I wanted one tool close to this universe. The Nautilus, with the Captain Nemo, he had a lot of instrument in his cabin, but no watch on his wrist. And I created the watch he will be used in the movie if one guy like me dreamed a watch like this.
So that's so when you I guess trying to get into the thought process of the design that you went into that watch. Do you use so maybe for every watch, do you have a similar design process, or is it?
It's not common, or I never follow regular and same process. The basics quite similar. It's quite impossible for me to dream a technical device without link with the envelope, with the things around the box, because it's like some machine I showed you. Is not only the device. It's also like a mind chronometer. It's not only the clock. It's a box in wood. It's a piece to help the movement to get stability or something like this. And for me, watch, it's all importance for the case, for the mechanism, for the explanation of the things, dials and indication, and the process to create something is to dream one things, to imagine what it's around, to adapt things inside, to adapt outside from inside, because you have some constraint or some step quite impossible to change, or
obstacle.
And it's one game between one side and the second side to have a compromise for everything, even on your wrist. If you imagine a nice watch, but at the end it's so big that it's not a watch, you fail. If it's too small, then it's impossible to understand what it's explained inside or with a microscope. You fail too. Yeah. Everything is important, and it's why sometimes I spend years to try to forget, because sometimes if you focus too much, you close your mind and you close your way to understand what will be better. And sometimes you come back with a clean and new looking, new eyes, new perspective on that. Just the time. Sometimes some delay give you the solution. Yeah. If you want to find immediately, I will make a new watch every year. For me, it's impossible to make a new watch every year. It's impossible. But sometimes it's possible to have in the same year 2 watches. Because it's a result of some years of development, research, dreams, and everything. It's arriving in the same time, at the same point for different things, different watch. Yeah. It's never a clear target. Coming in the morning, staying at the office, working for. Now we are making a new watch. No, you never know. Yeah. And maybe for 1 month, nothing, and I'm working at the bench for the production or something else, or I am traveling. But sometime, I went to sleep, and in the night I woke up with there's a lot of things in my head. I came quickly to the workshop and to print my dream, because if you wait, some things will disappear. And it's important to manage that also. If you imagine, nice idea, I will remember later. Yeah. But later, everything was lost. Yeah. I saw a documentary type thing recently where it was Gold Pfeil. Yeah. And they had several watchmakers, and you were in that documentary, and it was the watchmakers had to make one unique piece. Yeah. And then one piece for a series. Yes. Yeah. I made 2 watches also. I made the Satellarium and the jumping hour moon phase. But the Satellarium I made 1, and the jumping hour I made 108. Okay. Yeah. Wow. A lot. Yeah. It was my first experience to produce more than 10 pieces, and with my own movements, with the self-winding device, jumping hour and moon phase, with a special construction, not inspired by another construction or another drawing or another watch maybe I had C or I had so in the past, something like this, and it was my way to create that, and the function is very well. The watch was quite delicate for the self-winding system. Now when I get some pieces for service, I overhaul this side of the watch. I change wheels and some delicate piece to secure the function for many years now.
Yeah.
And it was one listen, yeah, to create something quite delicate and to change after, to adapt for each new service. Yeah,
That's
very
really
interesting piece.
So when the watches come back for a service, if there's you see something where it can be improved.
If it's possible, yes. Sometimes some customer doesn't like it because they want to keep original things. But like in the Antiqua, at the beginning, it was very, very delicate, and I prefer now. I change nothing fundamentally. But to improve a little bit some place, it's immediately better for everybody. For the customer who want to use the watch, for myself to keep quiet after I deliver the watch, because it's more work during the service, but after I'm more confident with the function and to forget this piece. And it's why right now I had success to convince everybody to overhaul the watch for the new device, new pieces inside to protect some bad manipulation or something like this.
And then just touching on self-winding watches, you made a pretty unique and special self-winding mechanism.
For that, I looked on different things, and I took some conception for the Gold Pfeil. Some parts came from Swatch Group with a double inversor.
By wind.
Because in the first in the Antiqua, the self-winding was only one direction. For the Gold Pfeil, it was two direction, and for the trio, it was the same than the Gold Pfeil, but with secure construction, stronger and with a better, more adapted for the dimension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because your watch, I think it was on the classic Anniversary with the
anniversary,
the clear rotor.
This was made also from the beginning, directly on the Antiqua. I started to put the Sci-fi mass, and I record. I had a patent. On that for 20 years, and I sold some license for colleagues and for big brands, and to manage also the cost. Patent it's very expensive, and I was lucky. I sold some license to balance the cost.
And so you hear a lot about like the watch companies getting a lot of patents and stuff. Do you go through that process a lot or not very?
For myself, I'm still spending some money for patents. Right now, I register 2 patents for a new device, a technical device. And but I'm quite very attentive for that because it's expensive. And if you don't use, or if it's for nothing, I don't what's the matter if you don't use.
That's right.
And for the big brands, sometimes I don't know. Because sometimes I register the patent.
Yeah.
I look on the internet, on the official institute to register that, to look if my ID is not
Already
registered before,
yeah.
and or if something is similar.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I read some patent. Automatically my words is what the fuck and completely ununderstandable.
Yeah.
For nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the drawing is by hand and pen.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh la 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 la. And people spend money for that.
For that, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously you do it out of necessity if it's practical. If you're going to use it, and then you go through that whole...
Yeah, it's important to find a way to make money with that, because the cost it's quite important, and if you don't use, at the end you will produce something to pay and other things, but for no result or for nothing.
Yeah.
No, it okay. For the deep space, I recorded I registered two patents. One for the tourbillon, one for to display the time with the ends. But and even that, I found some other brand creating and making some device close mine, and now it's difficult for me to protect my work and to protect my design, even if I have a patent.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
It's always the problem. If you fight Swatch Group, you find one lawyer with the cost, and in front of you, you have 50 guys working all the time for the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always a problem.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I don't have a problem with Swatch Group.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, it's good.
So I'm not too sure if you want to talk about this, but I read online like a long time ago there was a point where you had a lot of employees. And then this is what I heard. So on the internet, maybe it's not true. I don't know. So I'm just asking that there was you were working very long hours, not getting much sleep, and you went into a bit of like maybe like a kind of depression or something.
It's always difficult to work a lot, and at the end to find a way, a very narrow way, and difficult way. Mm-hmm. And I was always independent, and also financially. The whole money I made was through my work at the bench. Mm-hmm. And when the business around the world was going up, growing, or going down, I followed that. Yeah. And typically in 2008, 2009, the international crisis,
financial crisis,
it was quite strong.
Yeah.
And the market where I found customers disappeared a little, not a little bit. One big part of this market disappeared.
Yeah.
And at this time I was maybe close to 30 workers in my company.
Okay.
30. And 30 it's quickly heavy if you don't have some cash to survive. For the big company who have maybe some reserve, reserve. Maybe it's possible to manage. Also, you fired sometime maybe easier to survive.
Yeah.
For me, it was a critic, and I worked a lot.
Yeah.
It was quite 7-day week.
Yeah.
And average 10 years a day, maybe 12 every day or more until 15 some day, and the weekend maybe only 7 or 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And after many years, you get tiring, or your body, and you get older and older.
Yeah.
The power is less. It's behind from your 20s, and immediately after this, before in the around 97, 98.
Yeah.
Just before to make the Antiqua, it was quite the same. I worked for some big brands selling in South Asiatic countries, and my work was for them. But it was a crisis in 96 in South Asiatic countries, financial crisis or something else. And the brands asked me to work slow down, because the delivery time was immediately postponed for maybe 1-2 years.
Yeah, right.
And it's when I found time to make my own watch, because I had time.
Yeah.
In 2008, I didn't see really the crisis, because I have maybe 2-3 years of delay.
Yeah.
But in 2010, during 2010, the wall came to me quite fast.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of 2010, it was I had to fire everybody, and to stop this stupid life running for nowhere. And also I was quite tired.
Yeah.
It was 10 years ago. I was 45, or a little bit more, and also it was time to have your head lower, to look around what happened.
Yeah.
And what was my dream, my life, and what is my target? What was the target? Working so hard on the bicycle, and you never saw the street, or if it's wide, or concrete, or the highway, or it was time to look.
Yeah.
And once I imagined to stop watchmaking, to start some new experience.
Okay.
And I work slow down, opposite than before. Before it was full of time, and I decided to sleep a lot of time, and to work a few hours a day, maybe 3-4 hours maximum a day, in 2011. But this situation was quite positive, like in 96, 97. It was an opportunity to make the Antiqua. Crisis was the impulse to find a new step. And in 2011, my situation gave one possibility for my brain to dream again. And to travel in some crazy things, and the deep space appeared, and it was quite successful. But at the beginning, when I realized the prototype, it was not to make one prototype for a production. It was only to make a prototype to share my dream with my colleagues and people around me, friends and somebodies. And only for one piece. I have time, I make a dream, and that's it. After that, something else. but my people around me convinced me to spend time to start a small production because the piece was for them very nice piece.
Yeah.
And okay, they convinced me to go again at the bench on the machine and okay. But I work a lot. I like to work, but I work less than before 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm 56, 57. It's time to slow down. Yeah.
I read that you had maybe like a childhood TV series about some space, some sci-fi, science fiction.
Basically, Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm open for a lot of different science fiction or fantastic series.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, when Star Trek arrived in Europe,
yeah,
because in France, between the 60s and the 80s, nobody's know something about Star Trek. Okay. But in the 80s, with the new channel, because French television was free to start a free and independent channels, somebody imported Star Trek. And I discovered the original series with Spock and Kirk.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I saw, I think, a few episodes with a very strange feeling, like, what is that? And the ship is so stupid. But the series caught me.
Yeah, it caught you. Yeah.
Very strongly. Okay. Not by the science fiction, but it was by the philosophy. An interesting way to explain behavior, philosophy, something like this. And I was completely fascinated by that. And by the actors, characters, the quality of the writing, and the quality of the effect and the images with nothing. Because at this time, the cost of one episode is the cost now for the lunch budget for one new series.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of anecdotes about from the people working on this series. For example, for the device on the wall, science fiction device, it was some in the garbage. In garbage or in the basket for garbage, some support for eggs with painting but with nothing.
Yeah.
A new world.
Yeah.
And 50 years after, this world now is very, very deep for a lot of fans and a lot of people who made science fiction, creating new movies or something like this. A lot of people went in this creation to improve or to get inspiration. And in my stupid life, inside this work, to look only in front of me but very shortly, I forgot life and people are living and making a lot of things. And in 2010, I stopped to work, and the first things in 2011 to remember what I was and what I wanted to do when I was young, it was to remember my life. What was my young time? And I remember, to read books, science fiction or something different, movies, series, science fiction in the cinema, and I started to see again the Star Trek, the first series, 20 years after. It was quite interesting because I forgot what it was. I discovered again, and quickly, in 3 months, I think everything was gone.
Yeah.
And I went to Lausanne to a shop for DVDs or something like this, and I asked some advice about the guy, and it was very powerful about science fiction. Mm-hmm. And he said, you liked Star Trek, but in the 90s, some different series of Star Trek was produced, and I was completely shocked.
Yeah.
Because a new Star Trek is impossible. I mean, new Spock, it's impossible. It was the wrong way, and I thought, whoa, I don't want to see that. And he convinced me to start not by the next generation, but to start to see Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. And because Deep Space Nine, the Deep Space appear, and I called this watch Deep Space to pay tribute to this series, to inspire enough my life to find a way to make a new piece to survive longer. And after that, I was quite fascinated by the quality of this series, and I was very, very fascinated. And after that, I looked, I saw the next generation. Mm-hmm. Again, 7 years of production, 180 episodes. Okay. It was 190 episodes for Deep Space Nine. And after that, I jumped to see Voyager. Mm-hmm. And Voyager is for me a very, very, very nice series also. I was very touched by some episodes, very strong, better than a lot of movies. It's a simple episode for a science fiction series, but the quality of the people playing inside, the quality of the writer to write so clever and so intelligent story. Wow! And sometime now I'm coming back at home to see one episode to remember, and yes, it was a nice episode, and I bought in the USA. I bought from Voyager. Mm-hmm. I bought 130 script.
Oh wow!
Yeah, original from the Paramount. Original. Yeah, it's 3 meters high, from the ground to the, maybe more. I don't know how kilograms, but a lot.
Yeah, wow.
I have one right here. Star Trek Voyager, and a lot.
Original, yeah. Wow.
Final draft, first draft, some information about the making, and I have a lot.
Wow.
And typically, I took it from my flat because it was one important episode. I like this episode, someone to watch over me, because it's also something. Once one guy asked me, you are lucky, how you explain your life and your success, and to create the Antiqua, the Deep Space, or to make the Classic Janvier or something like this. And I said, because I think I'm lucky because I have someone to watch over me. not someone watching over me, because I wanted to say the title of this episode, very important for me.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. When we were doing the tour, you said that you like to purchase or buy like original sort of art pieces and not reproductions.
Yeah, the problem at the beginning, I like to buy something I wanted to have.
Yeah.
Some reproduction of design or something like this. And I understand also the cost of this, it's quite not so high. Mm-hmm. But now I like to spend my money in the original art, original work. And typically for drawing or for sculpture or for everything, if it's possible to have the first one or the original one, I'm very interested by that. And I spend quite a lot of time on the internet to look around the world, auctions and shops in line with antiques things.
Yeah.
And I looked for the special things. For example, for the script, if it was one copy, it was for me nothing. But I found the original piece. People used to work with that. Yeah.
Yep.
With that.
Yeah.
They touch it.
Yeah.
I have the script of the second pilot from the original series, called Where No Man Has Gone Before, and signed by William Shatner and Captain Kirk. He signed for the character and the actor.
Yeah.
And this script was printed 50 years ago for a successful story, and it was a pilot and a very, very nice episode. And automatically, when I saw that it was possible to buy, I was the winner. Happy guy, lucky. And now it's things around me to create one very strong and authentic universe.
Yeah.
It's not only the bullshit to blah blah, my life was that, and I wanted to create a very nice watches to share that with people. No, I wanted to steal some money from people who have something to spend, but no, I did, and I spent one part of I invested to find a way to steal this money. For myself, I'm happy to sell pieces, but it's one very sincere and pure, true exchange. Mm-hmm. And my world, when I told about my world and I tell something about experiences or some important things to change my vision or to change my life, it's true. I have. And it's possible to take, to open and to read. Yeah. Or to take the sculpture, or to have the drawing, like on the wall, you have 3 drawing from the making of Deep Space Nine. Sorry, it's authentic drawing to create the stage and the place where the movies was, the series was made. I spend money for that, because for me now it's closer, this story, this work, these people spending life and in the USA working hard for not the top and the top of the money every day, and you never know tomorrow if the companies decide to stop, you lose your work and you have to find another one. It's quite difficult, and I spend one part of my success to have close to me something from this hard work.
Yeah.
Because I make some similarities from my work and this one. And I have to collect things also to create around me one house of the real and true history. And it's why it's so dense here, with a lot of different things. You have clocks, you have paper, script of science fiction.
Yeah.
It's not the way to make watches, but it's the way to dream watches.
Yeah.
And it's important because all piece I made and all piece I want to do to make, it's the result of some dreams. And it's not only to imagine it will be a nice business. Okay, I try, I invest my time, my life. No, I want to dream something. I have a dream. And after that, I'm working to create something real.
Yeah.
And if I'm lucky, I share that, I sell that, and I survive for a new dream.
Yeah. Because just the tour of your laboratory is amazing, and it's like there's an energy, like you've put a lot of you've collected a lot of things. I think it like represents maybe your philosophy, and you try to encapsulate it in the workspace here. And when you come in, there's a sense of feeling of like endless possibility, and this I think like the journey I think is very important to you.
Yeah.
Of the process of making instead of just like the watch.
Yeah, no, the journey, it's the base. It's your life.
Yeah.
At the end, it's by chance it's watches. But in another life, maybe it would have been another world, music, space. I don't know, conquest from somewhere or everything. For me, by chance, it's watchmaking. But at the end, the target is to create one environment like you walk in the museum, you see a lot of things behind the window. Interesting, fascinating, but you are not inside the window or in the good side.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And here, at the end, everybody to follow me, people who visit me like you are inside.
Yeah.
It's possible to touch everything.
Yeah.
To see, I hide nothing. Everything is accessible. And at the end, it's one special place for people dreaming and who like that to have the contact, the real contact with this world.
Yeah.
And it's why we like spend a lot of time for some device or some machine to show the function or to understand what is it, and to share that for some other employers, fans, passionate people. And it's not only I spend a lot of time on that. The way now is to sell it, to get back this time. The time we spend, it's lost. It's spent. Lost if you don't remember something. And for us, now we have everything around us to remember our experiences, our exchange, and our life. And I think for that I'm successful. And people working with me, I think, get also this very positive and with this strong, energized side of life. Yeah. And for that, it's nice, and it's nice to still working in this world with my skill and to share still. To exchange everything, to improve and to continue the journey.
Yeah. And you were showing us just before about the case lugs and how they're polished, and even the cases. And Ben was explaining everything's hand polishing. You don't have a machine polisher here to do. And so that's one of your strong things you want to emphasize in your watches.
It's one big part of my style. Mm-hmm. It's not only the design. And it's, I think it's what gave some instinctive attraction or interest on my work. Even if it's simple, I spend a lot of time for every details. To have the same things from the others, but when in one context to find another step, another world. It's the same things, but somewhere further.
Yeah. And
instinctively, I think a lot of customers like this because it's unknown and mysterious and it's attractive. And at the end, to polish something by hand, opposite to the machine, it's the same basically, but the result is not exactly the same. It's something different. And if you do that with this difference, another place, another side, another shape, with this difference, at the end, all of the piece is different. And even if it's one common and basic case, if you put together, automatically it's not the same. Yeah. You understand, this one is different. Oh, it's not the same shape. And sometimes it's happening with people asking me to repair or to fix one Patek or one watch from another brand. And sometimes for the very top and best customers, I do it. But sometimes the customer takes a piece and says, when I bought the watch, it was not so nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I'm going further also. Yeah. Always. It's possible to go further. And some cases was quite nicely polished, but at the end some place to round, and I change the shape to have sharper or very nice, and it's a difference. Yeah. And it's why we spend so much time, for example, on the logs. Victoire for the to polish two face. It's 1 day.
Yeah.
1 day for only two face outside the logs.
Yeah.
How long it was to make the logs from the bar of metal.
Yeah.
To remove bars and vibration, to adjust on the watch, to take again to make finishing, brushing, angles, functions, and polish, and after that to put rivets, to put some different piece on the case. No, only for one case, typically for the Antiqua, with a lot of bezels, a lot of rivets, logs, complicated case. For one case, I think it's at the bench after the machine. It's minimum. If it's in gold, in platinum, I forgot the time. But in gold, I think it's maybe 6 weeks. Wow. 6 weeks of work at the bench to have the case completely finished, ready to get the movement and the dials to close it. And 6 weeks, if every brand spends 6 weeks only for the case, without the cost of the metal, the work from the suppliers for the metal, and for the machine to cut it. And no, I think so much time for that.
No.
Such much time, or
so much time.
Such much time. Yeah.
That's really amazing.
It's another world, but I like this. I prefer to have a unique work than a common work to make more money, but with a boring work. And I don't want to go every day to my workshop with some people shooting me with their feet, foot in my ass to go. Oh no, I don't want to go. No, it's impossible.
Yeah.
No.
And so you've got quite a bit of a different outlook on, watches and watchmaking. It is also with your customers, the transaction that occurs. Is it very one-on-one when you're delivery? Do you deliver the watches? How does the transactions usually?
I am lucky to have a lot of very nice customers. Very nice and understanding. Understanding customer. Sometime for the delay or delivery time or for the cost also, because sometimes I'm very strict. Always a customer wants a discount, but always I give the right price. And after that, the customer asks for a discount. Sometimes it's quite difficult to manage. But I met and I have customers very nice for that. And particularly for the last 2-3 years, I met a lot of customers who never bargain. And that, thanks for everybody, because the price was just, and the relationship was quiet, and at the end not tiring. And it's one march also of my margin of my work. Less tiring than with another one to fight every day. It's boring. But I'm happy to have customer to trust me, to trust my work, to buy my product and my work. And when it's possible, I organize myself to deliver. Not always with anniversary, because the price it's quite it's a high price, but for my product it's the lower price I have right now. But for if it's possible for one deep space, I take a ticket and I go to meet the customer. Sometimes I organize also something else, to meet people, to visit friends, to spend time to recover for holidays or something like this. It's important also. But if it's possible for me to manage, it's in New York, the guy is in New York, it's possible to deliver it. I take a ticket, I go to New York for 4 days. I visit the Met and I find some nice restaurant, nice people invited me, and it's one nice side also of this life. Not only to work at the bench, to collect the money, to send the watch and to start again. No, it's also to share with the guy what is your passion, how you made your money, what it was your life, how you discover me, what is your collection, or what is your hobby. And sometimes collectors invite me at their house to spend time with them, 3-4 days together in their life, to to organize for visit this area, something to discover. And I like this also because it's not only at the bench in the workshop.
Yeah.
If it's possible, I try to do that.
Yeah.
It's not always easy, but if it's possible to meet customers, it's interesting also for myself to understand what it was, this business and this exchange.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who is in front of me? In the other side.
Yeah.
And what is this world and this life? And sometimes you discover things. And sometimes you open your mind for new things.
Yeah.
And new people, and I like it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very good. And speaking of hobbies, what are some of your hobbies that you have outside of watchmaking?
Yeah, watchmaking. It's at the end is not a hobby, but it's one nice things. But hobbies, it's to fly.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I like to be free in my plane in the sky.
Yeah.
No policeman on the road. Yet.
Yeah.
Yet. And you are the commandant, alone to decide because it's your life.
Yeah.
Nobody's. It's for your security.
Yeah.
And taking the glove for my security. No.
Yeah.
It's my control.
Yeah.
And I like it. And last week I flew over the Alps.
Okay.
And it was very nice.
Wow.
I took some picture of the glacier, the ice. Glacier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice one, the Sanech. And I flew, I closed. Yeah. And I flew 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Wow. In the Cessna.
Yeah, with the Cessna. Yeah, 182.
Okay.
And it's 4 seats.
Yep.
The wing is on the top.
Yes.
Upstairs.
Yep.
And it's a nice machine. It's not a fast machine, but very secure, flying very well. Just enough to look and to take time and to travel, not with pressure.
Yeah.
And I like it. And I bought also one experimental plane to work also on it, to create some device or to improve some function, and to fly with my work.
Yeah.
This is important also. And on the plane, my quality of work, it's the maximum because it's your life. If you make half because the price he wants to bargain, I will make half. Yeah. But when you have only one handle to break, no, you make the top.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's on the same level than what I spend for watches and for my work. And I like to, because I have still no watch personally with my name. I sold everything. But my work on my pen, it's for me.
Yeah.
And it's not possible to sell. It's only to use.
Yeah.
And this is one hobby. And a new one hobby now, another one, it's to collect original drawing for comics.
Oh.
European comics and someone from the USA. The problem with the USA, it's too many superheroes and superheroes.
Oh, yes.
Superheroes.
Superheroes.
Yeah, it's too much and it's difficult to find one plate, old drawing from one comics, original comics, without superhero heroes. It's always somewhere.
Yeah.
But sometimes I find a nice drawing from the USA, but I have not a lot, but someone. But Belgium, Italian, French, at the base, I collected a lot. And all with a link with space or science fiction, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's so large universe, it's impossible to buy everything. It's important to focus, and it's why on the wall at the bottom of the corridor, it's some drawing with fantastic trim, and I like a lot of drawing from the 70s, 80s also, but in the 70s it was crazy people. Yeah, crazy people.
Yeah, I guess how. So, if someone was to ask you what does watchmaking mean for you, how would you go about describing? Just watchmaking is, I guess, how does it make you feel when you wake up every morning to come to your laboratory to maybe come up with new ideas or new
but it's easy to explain at the end, but it's quite difficult to generalize my explanation of this life. Because I'm lucky to have a connection with watchmaking, a unique connection or a very rare connection. It's the same feeling and same things than what it was when I was 14, 15, when I was in watchmaking school. Fascinated by device, wheels, and function, complication, and to open everything to discover how it's working. And I'm still in this mind, less exuberant, because I saw a lot of things. I made myself different, new things. But excepted when I'm very tired, I'm quite powerful when I'm coming. And it's why it's possible to wake up very easily. If I open my eyes at 3 or 4 in the morning, because something is churning in my head, is easy to wake up and to come to start for that or for that. I want to try this, and I have a new idea. Oh yes, now something appeared. I come, I work. And it's quite the same, typically in the morning early. My feeling is the same than when I am in my plane. Nobody's around. No boss behind me to push me in the wrong way. Or to give the short away, or to make the short cut. Where it's the nightmare, sleeping, but you disturb him to come back. No. And at the end, my feeling every morning, it's like than when I was so young, with the fascination on the street, to see the dial in the building and to imagine behind the dial what happened and what is it. And it was possible to sometime to go inside the stone stairs with some dust, dry dust or birds or nest, and you cross everything to find at the end the room with the machine.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like this.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah. And I hope I create a world where it's possible for the others working with me to have this same feeling and this same true life. To go and to me too. I'm going and I will reach that at the end of the day. And to ask everybody to look at it's working and it's a nice. It's at the end it's one toy place or toy game place. I don't know to explain that, but it's somebody or someone go to the city to find the shop with games and to play. We have that
because it's a lot of fun. And I got that from I was talking to some of the people working here, Ben and your daughter, and I think the passion that you have, it goes through them as well. And I think and just the way you've built this place as well is really good. And
I want to build another one also. More adapted for the dream and for everybody.
That's awesome. And what can we expect? Can we expect something on the horizon for the future? We are working for some things. It's nice because at the end, I hope for the end of the year or beginning of next year to launch new things. It's not really new in the watchmaking world, but my way to proceed, it's a new one. And I want to show it through the deep space at the beginning, but the price of the watch will be very high. And I'm working now for after the launch to have in the way a new model for simple watches, more accessible for the price with this device. And I have another one also working on for many years now. And I hope next year it will be finished also. But quite a very expensive watch too. And I have some different things. Maybe after the anniversary, if it's possible and if I have some success to collect some money to make my business, maybe I will launch a new series of watches below 100,000. Okay, wow.
Because it's still expensive, but not a stratospheric price. More accessible, but not for everybody. But if it's possible, with the experience of the case, of the dimension, and with the Andreas Strehler's collaboration, and if it's possible to manage everything, maybe in 1 year I will be ready to start.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for you also.
It's been my pleasure
to cross Earth, the world, to come.
It's been very eye-opening. Learning everywhere I look, I can learn something just from the way, the process of how you do things, and it's really inspirational, and the way you sort of approach the watchmaking and watches, and just I think life, from what I've learned from you so far, even though we didn't catch it all on camera, it's very inspirational and very it's very nice to see. And it's truly I feel very blessed to be here and in your presence, and you sharing your stories with me, and also some knowledge as well, which is very beneficial for me.
Thanks for everything, and I'm also very happy to share with you one part of my dream, and hoping also it will be larger than only my world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Vianney.